Here's a question from my colleague here. Do you know, James, if you wanted to get to the island of Lundy, which is 12 miles off the coast of Devon, it will cost you £65 return, and that's aboard the MS Oldenburg, and it would take 2 hours. Or,
I knew that.
here we are, or, yeah, I thought you would, cocky. No, if you save yourself some money, you could swim, of course.
No, thanks.
Couldn't you? You might laugh, but later this month, a pair of super fit friends from Bude, they're going to try and swim the treacherous waters from Hartland to Lundy Island. And Steve McClure is one of the foolhardy fellows that's taking on this risky challenge, and he's with us this morning. Steve, hello, and why?
Hello, Pam. Morning, James.
Morning.
Pam. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Thank you for asking. You super fit man, why are you doing this?
That's a good question. But I blame Gary, who I am swimming with, Gary Redman. He used to work up at Westwood Hoe, and his workplace overlooked the island. And I think he kind of thought, it'd be a great idea to swim there one day. And myself, being a keen surfer, I often kind of sit out the back watching the waves, and occasionally used to see Lundy and think, you know what, it'd be great to try and swim there. So that is what we're going to try and do. Is we're going to try and swim there, basically.
Just how dangerous is this swim?
It's fairly dangerous. I mean, there are a lot of variables that we need to take on board. So obviously, the Bristol Channel, I don't know if your listeners know, but it's the second largest tidal movement of anywhere in the world. So there's a massive amount of water flowing between Lundy and the mainland. So that makes it fairly dangerous. So we have to plan for this, and our swim will kind of have to take on board the fact that we might get swept left or right. We're only going to get swept one way initially, but that's what we really have to kind of counter.
Yeah, you don't want to get blown off course, do you? Heaven only knows where you'd end up. Now, you planned, didn't you, to take the swim on at the beginning of the month? Is that because it didn't happen because of the tidal conditions?
Yeah, that's right. Well, Pam, I tell you what happened was that the weather wasn't great. We were meant to do it on the 1st of August. And we've got certain windows of tide that we can do it in. So we can only really, we believe we can only do it on a neap tide, which is a small tide, which will hopefully mean that there's less water flow in between the island and the mainland. But the weather also plays a crucial factor. So we're kind of desperately looking for kind of calm seas and high pressure. So, winds of a variable 2 to 3 knots, which will help our cause.
Now, I believe the last person to swim from Hartland to Lundy did it in the 1950s, apparently.
Yes, that's right. There were two gentlemen that took on the swim. Basically, back in 1952, the owner of Lundy then started a competition, and he had a rule book printed out, and basically he offered a prize of £250 in cash, or 4 fat bullocks to the first person who could make it to the island under their own power of swimming.
How funny!
So yeah, I mean, it's an amazing story, really. And the two gentlemen, one was a local man from Barnstable, who many older listeners might know, called Cyril Webber. He used to run a bike shop called Cyril Webber's Cycles. And his family took on and had lodging an Egyptian army captain at the time, and he was called Captain Rahim. And they trained together, apparently, from what little we know. And when the weather was set fair, they took on the challenge. So sadly, basically, Cyril Webber didn't make the swim because he was seasick on the day. But Captain Rahim went on to land successfully on the island and claim the prize of £250. I think he said
he didn't go for the bullocks then. In that case,
he didn't go for the bullocks. No, he didn't. I think he thought they were a bit of a nightmare to take back to Egypt.
That's tricky. just finally, I mean, you talk about these optimum conditions. Are you basically both on standby, just waiting for the best time?
Well, we kind of frustratingly, we kind of have been, because we were hoping to have kind of had the attempt done and dusted. Whether or not we'd have successfully made it, is another question. But yes, so we are now waiting for the next window of opportunity, and we've got a kind of local tactician on board, a gentleman called Austin Davies from Bude, who's a man of great kind of note with the sea. He knows everything from kayaking to sailing to surfing and chart plotting, and so he's really the guy who's kind of giving us a heads up on what windows we should tackle. So our next window of opportunity is on the 31st of August. So we've got a 3-day window of tides, and we're hoping to combine that with some great weather. So on any of those 3 days, we just need the conditions, of high pressure and light winds. So we're on standby really, but we can't do it before then. And I'm off abroad working, so that kind of unfortunately puts a nail in that one.
Yeah, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? Yes. Well, best of luck. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. And Pam said that she was volunteered to come and rub the goose grease on you both as well before you set off.
Oh, that would be very kind. Well, can I just very quickly say just two things? One is that anybody in the Barnstable area knows Cyril Webber's son, John Webber, who's probably in his 60s. We're desperately trying to track him down. So if any of the listeners would like to give you a call, if they have any information on him, because it'd be great to pick his brains about his father's swim. And the second thing is, if anyone would like to have a look at our Facebook page, we've got a kind of link to a donation because we're raising money for 3 great causes, local causes in Bude. And if you just went on to Google and looked for the Lundy swim. So if you went on to...
We've popped the link on our Facebook page as well, actually, so people can just go to the BBC Radio Cornwall Facebook page and find it that way. Brilliant to talk to you, Steve. Yeah. Best of luck. Fingers crossed that you'll manage to actually dive in and get to Lundy via your own power come the 31st.
Well, thank you very much, guys. And just to say, the BBC have been really supportive, and tonight we're going to be on Spotlight. So
look out for you. We'll look out for you. Cheers. Take care. 2 minutes to 8 now.
Travel news. BBC Radio Cornwall.